Hello. How's everybody doing? Excellent. Some energy after lunch. I love that. Yes. Well, I'm Sue Citro. I'm the Chief Digital Officer at Best Friends Animal Society. And we are going to have some fun today, right? And we're going to have fun because we're talking about email, okay? Now, I know some of you are thinking, we could have a lot more fun talking about these, right? And the millions of apps that are available. Or we could have a lot of fun talking about a virtual reality headset and how we could like ski down a mountain or have some other experience. And those are great. We could talk about Pokemon, right? It's hard to ignore that this week. In fact, today, I got my first email about Pokemon, right? Selling shoes, Pokemon. He's selling shoes now. All of these things that are happening that are engaging people in the digital space, they're awesome, they're amazing, but they're not email. No matter what you're doing with your email marketing today, whether you are just starting out or whether you have the most sophisticated program following every best practice, your email program can be working harder for you and raising more money for you. I'm going to say that again. No matter what you're doing with email, it can raise you more money and work harder for you than it is today. And it's not really that hard. I will tell you, I didn't always have this love affair with email. We kind of fell back in love with each other again a little while ago. And I'll tell you how it happened. It's not something I talk about a lot because it actually happened because of a mistake. Okay? I got a phone call. And you know when you get that phone call, like you're picking up the phone and you just can sense it's bad news? Right? Have you had that happen to you? Okay. Well, I picked up the phone and I heard, Sue, we got a problem, right? It was my email marketing manager. And she explained she had just sent out the e-renewals, right? This is a series of messages we sent every month. And I should say this didn't happen at Best Friends, it was another organization. And you know, instead of getting your message saying, hey, it's time for you to make your annual gift again, you're having a great impact, renew early, and, you know, really help us. Or, hey, for those who have already expired, what happened? We thought we had something going on here. Where'd you go, right? The email messages that we would send out over 120 days, we sent all of them to you in 7 minutes, right? So you got your one message, followed by a second one, which was before the third one, which was before the fourth one. I knew the membership director. She was going to be angry. Ooh, and she was. I started thinking about our member care team. Like, were they just getting barraged with calls? What were we going to do, right? Would we say something funny like, oh, a bird flew in and hit send a bunch of times, right? But I didn't want to blame wildlife. Were we going to like be really serious, like, your data's safe, don't worry, trust us, you know, how you get those messages and then you kind of don't trust? Would we just be like short and sweet, like, oops, all good, you know? Before we figured out even how we were going to draft that first paragraph, something kind of crazy happened. Money started coming in, okay? So I'm going to ask you here in your awesome Best Friends membership shirt, if you'd stand up for a second and tell us your name.
Laura O'Brien.
All right, Laura, wave hello to everybody.
Yay!
All right. So Laura represents how much money we would make in a month from our e-renewals program. Just over $25,000, $28,000 in that range, okay? So if you'll stay standing, I'm going to come over here and ask everybody, let's see, in the first 4 rows to stand up. Okay? That's how much money we raised that month. 10 times as much. We raised 10 Lauras, right? Over $250,000. We went from $25,000 to more than $250,000. That little bad voice in my head started saying, can we do this every month, right? Are all the best practice email newsletters wrong? Is sending the wrong message to the wrong people at the wrong time brilliance, right? Maybe. Now, I am not in any way advocating that, okay? It is not about doing that. It is really not about doing that. But it made me realize our email program that I thought was solid and following every best practice and doing all that it could, it had been kind of hanging out. It wanted to do more. It was hungry to do more. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. What it is that we've done, and now we've done this at Best Friends. We've increased our revenue from email as well, and share with you how we did it so that you guys can do it too, okay? In order to do this, there's 3 things that you kind of got to get your head wrapped around, all right? We're going to talk about the first one. The first one is knowing that with all the cool toys, everything that's going to pop up, just like Pokemon keeps popping up this week, right? Everyone playing that game. That email is your best player on the team. No matter what sector, private companies, nonprofits, email works the hardest. So for every $1 typically you invest in email, you get a $38 return. Imagine going into a bank account, or into a bank to open an account, and you put $10 in, and a couple days later you had $380, right? Who would sign up for that account, right? I'd sign up twice. Okay? Now, I'm not saying go out and just buy a bigger, more expensive email tool, right? That's not going to just make the money come. It's what you do with that tool that really matters. But understanding that all those other things that are going on are great and can do really well, especially when you have them play with your best player on the team. That's the first thing. The second thing, right? How many of us feel like this? We all know, right, that our inbox right now, there's messages coming in. We're sitting here. Some of you are probably a little bit worried about all that's in your inbox. There's too many useless emails happening. They're making Buzz sad, right? Your top priority is to send relevance. It's not to send email. It's to be as relevant as you can to the person you're emailing. When you sign up for email on a wedding site, they're like, hey, we love you. Now, are you the bridezilla, or are you going to have to deal with a bridezilla, right? Because those are 2 different messages. Those are 2 different bits of advice, 2 different tracks. If you're actually the person getting married, or you're the person who's going to have to help and support and work with them, right? Eyeglass companies, they've been doing this for a really long time. And I know we can be better than eyeglass companies. Back in 2014, right, Warby Parker started saying, hey, your eyes, pay attention, your prescription's about to expire. Wow, that's really helpful. I don't think anyone in here knows when their prescription for glasses expires, right? So there's the other side of it too, lens crafters. Hey, your prescription expired 164 days ago. I feel super delinquent now, right? I read everything I needed to do just fine, but I better get on that. And look at how easy they're making it for me to take action, right? It's about an experience. It's not about sending information. It's about being helpful as you communicate what it is that you need to do. Uber is doing a great job of this. I love this quote from their CEO. Uber is efficiency with elegance on top. I don't know how many emails I can really say that about in our program, right? But that's what we're striving for. And when you look at that Uber email you get after taking a trip, it's got the map, right? Showing you where you went. You know where you went, you just did it. But it's kind of fun to see it, right? Kind of like a scrapbook. You can rate your driver. You can earn more cash for your next trip by telling a friend. All the information they want to convey is there, but it's like everything has its place and it makes sense, right? It's not a laundry list. There's some order to it. It's a better experience. It's elegance and efficient, right? Think of your emails like dashboards to help those you're communicating with do what it is they need to do. Here's an email from a dog retailer, dog products. We often talk in our sector that you need a dog experience and you need a cat experience. Well, because of what we're doing with these, Our customers, those on our list, they want more than that. So as you sign up for email on this site, it's, do you have a dog under 20 pounds, over 40 pounds, somewhere in between, right? How can we make our communications to you even more relevant? It's a bad experience. This quote I saw just last week. Imagine if you got an email from Betty Crocker that smelled like fresh baked cookies. What would be the click-through rate on that, right? I don't know that that will ever happen, but I'd click, right? It's about having that experience that you just have to click, right? Really think about that a little bit. Are you communicating, sending another email, or are you giving them an experience that they want to participate in and go deeper? Politics. They always say don't talk politics, right? Well, how about if email could predict the presidential winner? Because of how people are interacting with email, this company is tracking who unsubscribes from what messages get shares, what candidate is engaging their subscribers and their base differently. They're trying to predict based on email engagement and click-through rates and shares who's going to be the next president. If you are a political junkie, this is kind of a fun place to hang out. If you're trying to think of how to do different things with your email program, it's really interesting to see how when an email goes out for a political candidate, kind of what happens and its impact across our whole social and internet world. Now here's a question for you. Let's say you just signed up for a webinar, right? And you got an email that said, you reserved your spot. Here's what to do next. Doesn't that kind of feel helpful? Right? Who would open that email if you had just signed up? All right, I'm seeing all hands. How many of you actually see the typo that's there? Okay, just a couple hands. It says you reserved your spot. Here's what due to next, right? But your context is you just signed up and they're helping you out. Like, oh, this is great, right? If you provide an experience in that context of what that person wants to do, they will not see that typo in the subject line, okay? The other side of that is when you get an email like this. So I'm an email marketer's worst dream because my favorite thing to do is click 0 and see what happens, right? I can tell you less than 5 brands have ever picked up the phone to be like, what's wrong, right? And I bet they don't get a lot of zeros. But those brands that actually called me, I could tell you their names. I still shop from them, right? If you're going to send an experience, you've got to be able to act on it. You don't have to call everybody, but the 0, the 1, find out what's going on. Because if you can solve their problem, you can solve it for so many more. And the more that have a good experience, right, the more revenue you're going to raise. Another experience that you can send, right? It was being sent, that's why you didn't see it there for a second, is celebrations, okay? You're not sending emails, you're sending experiences. Now, I know you're looking at this and saying Trello, right? That site that lets you keep your to-do list and helps with project management. They have 5 million users. I can't do a celebration like that. Yes, you can. Celebrate 5 more adoptions, right? Bring me into that experience. Allow me to be part of the celebration. It's thanks to 5 more forever homes, right? And you, look what you made happen. As I'm up here talking about experience, it's not that you have to work harder, right? It's about working smarter. Take an email that you see that moved you and put your content into it and send it out. See what happens to your click-through rates. See what happens to your revenue. See how your audience wants to engage with you. Celebrating and providing experiences is so important because of the third thing that you got to keep in mind, right? Besides email being your number 1 player on the team, and that you're not emailing, you're sending experiences, the third thing is social, right? We have to think in terms of what we're sending by email, how it can be social. Because social is so important, right? We trust social. It's our family. It's our friends. It's these two adorable dogs that are available for adoption at our sanctuary in Kanab. They love each other, right? But we trust social. It's where we go to find what's going on in the world. If my friend says it's important and likes it, I probably will too. Well, how about the fact that people on your email list are 3 times as likely to share on social for you as those on social? So if you can take and send out an email, your best player, in the way that it's an experience, and that makes it really easy for social, you've just taken that message you've sent out, and you've multiplied it by 3. And the more people you reach, right, the more revenue you'll get. So now you might be saying, I've got social icons in my email, right? And that's great. Here's a Fitbit example. Last year, you walked 868,669 steps, right? Example on the right just added one little thing. Tweet this stat. 3 times as likely to be shared, probably even a little bit more if you make it that easy for folks, right? We've started doing this with when we actually send out an email with adoptable animals, and we're seeing more engagement. We're seeing more shares. We're seeing more comments on those shares. It's really been very helpful. It's making things that easy. This is an example from LinkedIn. They've been doing this for years, right? Your profiles in the top whatever. That's not something I'm really hungry to share, okay? But they make it really easy. But what if we made it really easy? Instead of, hooray, I've got a great profile, it's, hooray, I volunteered and met the best dog, Marias, and included his link, right? It's giving those kinds of moments to your subscribers. It's not sending email, it's sending them experiences that they can share with their friends on social. So those are the 3 things to keep in mind as you're sending email. So, with that, just like Justin Timberlake, right, brought sexy back, at Best Friends, we decided to bring email back. And I'm going to show you the results and then tell you exactly what we did. This is from the M&R benchmark. It comes out every spring. This year, there were 105 nonprofits involved. They looked at things like online giving, email, social media, advocacy. What were your open rates? What were your click-through rates in email? How did you compare? And Best Friends is down here at the bottom. We increased our revenue from email by 82% over the previous year. All because we stopped sending email and started sending experiences, right? The first thing we did was we ripped apart our email program. I mean, we were harsh. And it wasn't that anyone had been doing anything bad, right? It was all to take and make email better. This is from e-consultancy, and it's different aspects of email. They asked a question, which are the 3 areas of email marketing that you really need to focus on in 2016? We didn't pick 3. We decided each day for 3 weeks we'd look at 1, okay? There were some we thought we were doing really well, like maybe our writing and our design. There were some that we were kind of okay on with tracking, right? Didn't matter. It was open season on every aspect. And after 3 weeks, we had really put forward those things that we would want to see in our email program. Now, I know some of you are going to say, Sue, I don't have 3 weeks, okay? There's a quiz, right? Everybody's got time for a quiz. I see you all taking them on Facebook, right? Google email marketing checkup quiz, right? We'll take you through a few questions and tell you, all right, if you've only got time to focus on one area, here's where you should start based on your answers. It's that easy to make your email program better, okay? Once you take the quiz, once you start ripping apart and give permission to your team to be brutally honest, and that's the hardest part, okay? You'll start to find all sorts of information out there, all sorts of things. Here's an analysis that's done of buttons just in emails. I could look at this all day, right? I didn't know that learn more buttons tend to be blue, registration buttons tend to be gray, right? But if that's what folks are used to, maybe that's a starting point for me. Where you go from there, is that true for you? What do you want to do differently? Those are all things that you can do when you have time. But you can, look at some of this data and make some really good decisions about how to take your program further than you are today. You'll also take and find lots of ideas. We've been talking about Instagram. Think about your email for a moment, right? Just think about one of the messages you've sent out. You probably have at the bottom in your footer your organization's name, its address, so you're compliant with canned spam. Probably, hey, follow me on social media, right? What if instead you had the latest picture from your Instagram, automatically populated? Wouldn't you be more likely to click on that picture to find out what was going on? It's those little things that create experiences for people that make them want to click and go a little bit further. Fast forward to this Container Store email. Ever since we started ripping apart our program, I honestly see the emails I get differently. Imagine if instead I sent out an email saying, hey, follow us on Instagram, but instead of all those house things, which I have to admit I want like half of them, right? Imagine if it was all the dogs and cats at your rescue. It's not asking you to join social media, it's asking you to join a play group, right? Totally. It's just like being there with the dogs and cats playing. That's what you're doing. You're sending out those experiences, those moments. I mentioned some of the learning before, and there's a lot of learning about email in the email marketing blogs, in the email marketing e-newsletters, but there's a ton that e-commerce brings as well. I did not know that if I sent my Instagram photo with the filter Valencia, Rise, or X Pro 2, there's a higher likelihood that I'll drive revenue. Someone's figured that out. These 3 filters are tied to the highest revenue per impression when utilized, right? You still can make those optimizations. You still can do those best practices. There's a place for them. And when you couple it with an experience, right, you can raise that much more. Now, a lot of times I know we talk about resources. Everybody's got their go-to resource. I spend a lot of time with email monks. Not actually monks, but it's called email monks, right? They'll take you through, if you're just getting started, everything from start to finish. There's also really good emails, and you can see they're a little bit more technical. They'll show you actually how to add the code. They've saved us a lot of hours looking at their site. I know all of you have resources you love. And we also have many things we're happy to share if you're just getting started with your program in terms of nuts and bolts. We have come up after, happy to share them with you. But here's the biggest thing we did, okay? After we went through our whole program, after we went through that audit checklist, we found new ideas. We took and we said, we're going to do all these things differently. We played a game with one of our favorite cats at the sanctuary. His name is Aesop. And instead of Simon Says, we played Aesop Says. Aesop was born in 2005. He came to the sanctuary from a hoarding situation in Nevada, and he was very, very shy. When you would go into where he was, he'd be, kind of, I don't know about you, and start cowering, and kind of give you that look like, lady, why are you bothering me, right? But when you would bring the good treats, you would bring a good experience for him, he would really thrive. But a lot of times he kind of has that so what look, right? Well, we started saying, what would Aesop say to this email that I just wrote? Would he be like, so what, Sue? Nice try. Can you leave me alone? I want to take a nap. Or would he come over and say, all right, let's play? After we thought we had ripped apart our program, we did it again. And that's part of why we have 82% more revenue in our email program just 1 year later. Another way, maybe you don't want to rip on your work. The public is more than willing to do it for you, right? Now, I know you're going to say, Sue, I can't send a personal note to everybody on my email list. I don't have that kind of time. But you can send a note to one person. Hey, I just saw you signed up. What do you think? Right? What can we do better? What are you thinking? Just that bit of information will give you something that you can pivot, that you can do a little bit differently, and improve the experience for your list subscribers. The second biggest thing we did after we ripped apart our program was we made sure we were on point when it came to mobile. How many of you have mobile responsive emails today? Okay. And how many of you are planning to do that this year? All right. The most important thing you do, there's a lot of great speakers here, a lot of great ideas I'm sure you got. The most important thing you can do is make sure your emails are readable on mobile devices, okay? Last year end, right? The season we all love for fundraising, November, December, the months we wish we could have 12 months of, right? In terms of the revenue. 69% of emails were opened on mobile devices. That was last year, right? I don't even know what that number is going to be this year. 69% opened them last year. If you're already sure that your emails are working great on mobile, that's awesome. The next step is to think about where that person is. They're probably not at home. Maybe they're at the grocery store waiting in line, right? Maybe they're in a park. Maybe they are home, you never know. But what Steve Madden has done for years, and you can kind of see what their emails used to look like and what they look like now. You can see the fonts changed, the photos are different, but there's one thing that's still there, the maps. Now the maps are different, you probably can't see. This has little shoes where all their stores are, right? You can see when they started, they thought that was cute. And now they're just doing what we're all used to, a Google map. But by having that map so that you know where their store is, they've seen foot traffic more than double. They've seen sales go up a third. Think about when someone opens your email on mobile, what is that experience that you can add for them, right? There's a great case related to influence about a study that was done at Yale University. And if you've read the book Nudge, you'll be familiar with this. They had seniors at the university come in, and they said, hey, your health insurance is going to, go away soon. Something smart you can do is get a tetanus shot. It's good for 10 years. Get it while you have health insurance. 3% of the folks did. But you know what? 28% of the students did when they were told that same thing and handed a map and said, you're here. Here's the health center. You go here, go left, go right, you're there. These are seniors. They know where the health center is, right? But it puts you in a little bit of a different mindset. You start thinking, when will I fit it in? Is it on the way to where I pick up my daughter at softball? Oh, it's near my church, right? That's where that shelter is that I want to go to. The person starts thinking about it differently. So while you're being helpful, you're also moving them closer to that decision to come and see you. Because mobile is so important, right? There's something else that's happening on mobile. Videos, right? How many have watched a video on their mobile device? All right, every hand, right? And video use is only increasing. This infographic says video in an email can lead to 200 to 300% increase in click-through rates. Or that if you have a video on a page, it can lead to 80% more conversions, right? I know I've bought a pair of shoes after watching someone kind of do this, right? Same thing is true with you. Now, it's not about do you embed the video and can your email program take and handle it. It's about the invitation to experience the video, all right? But think about how video can be part of your email program. Bring together the new kid of video with the best player on your team like we talked about before. And together, there's even more magic in that experience. All right. So here's the thing. I know some of you are probably thinking this still seems hard, right? Here's how we did it to make it easy. Because our creative team, and we're very fortunate we have a creative team, but they're busy folks, and anything that was going to take more time, they weren't going to be too into. So here's what you do. I invite you this week to pay attention to your inbox. There will be some email message that comes that you will all of a sudden find yourself, oh wow, I clicked. Oh wow, I liked it. For me, it was Evernote. They sent me this message, and they could have sent a message to me that says, hey, we're Evernote, you're using us, that's great. We've worked really hard to make it easy for you to forward your email information, to have it in your notebook, and it's really easy and it's really great, right? That kind of 2 paragraphs of telling you information. But instead, they gave me an experience. Instead of something that I had to read and say, I don't know if this is relevant to me or not, they made it relevant to me. They asked a question. Do you know you can forward emails from your inbox right to your Evernote account? And what happens? Either yes, I do, and I feel confident that I really know this tool. I probably know it better than I thought, right? Or no, I didn't, and isn't that helpful? I might use it someday, right? I have a different approach to Evernote, and you want those on your list to think of you differently, right? Not to know that you're got a lot going on, but to see themselves in it, okay? So here's what we did. We took this email and we said, did you know you can microchip your dog at our clinic on Sundays, right? Maybe some are gonna say, yes, I did. And some will say, no, but that's good to know, right? Instead of actually then sending everything, every detail about it, we illustrated our points by telling the story of a dog that came into one of our centers, and we were able to reunite because he had a microchip. It demonstrates the impact in a way that allows you to draw in that reader, right? We included a map so you can find your way to the clinic for microchips, right? Help them understand where you are. And then tweet the event details, because maybe you don't need microchips, but you have a lot of friends with dogs, right? This is how you reimagine your emails, and instead of sending emails, start sending experiences. I invite you to get started on this, right? Here's email. We talked about it in the beginning. $38 return for every dollar spent. This just came out this week. It was talked about in Boom Social earlier in the year, and it was brought up again, that these numbers still hold true, that whether it's social or video or search, they're still not making the same return that email is, okay? Email is not going away, but it's becoming more engaging. It's becoming more helpful. It's actually driving the person towards action more than it ever has before. This is so important to start experimenting with your emails, to think about how you can reimagine them and fall in love with email again, because the best time of the year is coming for revenue, and you want to be ready. Practice now, so when you send out that email in December and say you can give a gift membership, right? You can have a social share that says, hey, tweet that this is what you want for your holiday gift, right? Start playing with these things now. Start giving your subscribers the experience that will help them in turn help you and increase the reach, all the people that you bring in then at the holidays. So in closing, just like Cicely and Crown like to do, right? They're always digging deeper, right? Just when we think they've dug as far as they can go, they dig deeper. The same is true for email, right? Think of them as your spirit animals as you're getting ready to send your next email. What would Cicely do? How can we take this experience deeper, right? So allow yourself to fall in love with email again. Okay? I know some of you are thinking, that's beyond my graphic design ability. I'm not saying make all your emails like this, but really look at these different experiences that you can give your subscribers. This one from Charity Water on Giving Tuesday, it's just simple elegance, right? I want to be a part of that. I believe I can make a difference. I know what they want me to do and why. In the middle, I've never had so much fun from a J.Crew email, right? It says, this is worth the scroll. And on my phone, you have to scroll for a really long time, right? But I've just had fun, and I've learned that that V-neck t-shirt comes in all of these colors, right? That's what you're trying to do. That's the magic of email. That's how you build emails that drive more revenue. Pick your moment, what's most important. Maybe it's welcoming people to your rescue. Maybe it's welcoming them to email. I don't even know what the last email's for. It says, welcome to the party. I just know I want to go, right? Look at that. I want to be there. And you have the best content of all the amazing animals that you're working with, right? Who can be just that like, hey, come on, come where we are, here's the map, you can get here, right? And have them be a part of it. So allow yourself to fall in love with email again. Start sending those experiences instead of emails. And you'll start to see, like us, more revenue. And with that, I'd love to answer your questions about email. Thank you.